Hi, if you or your children are suffering because of your relationship with your ex-partner, because it's stressed or strained, or maybe they're just not a nice person, this show is for you. Welcome to the High Conflict Co-Parenting Podcast with Brook Olson and Charlie Jewett. Enjoy another episode now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the High Conflict Co-Parenting Podcast with Brook Olson, and I am Charlie Jewett. And today, Brook, we're going to do episode 53, and you titled this one, "'Tis the Season." So we're kind of starting to get towards the holidays here, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? We're sitting here, it's just September, but we are just about to enter into the holiday season. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Halloween's right here. People start getting a little nutty around Halloween these days. So what we want to start doing is really getting out in front of this. If there needs to be things taken care of, if things are unclear, if you don't have stipulations yet because you're in the early stages and you haven't been to court, if you don't get this stuff down now, you're going to be at a total chaotic loss when it comes time to really get in and understand what the parenting time needs to be, what the custody wants to be while you are going through the holidays. So this is the time before the holidays get any closer to begin to prepare for any possibilities that may be on the horizon.
And I know from experience you can have temporary orders. So,
right.
I mean, how do people get that if they don't have it in place already?
So one of the ways to start to get temporary orders is to get your attorneys, if you're working with attorneys, to get them negotiating now. What are we going to do aside from everything else? What are we going to do around the holidays? How are we going to make this happen? And if there's a power differential, if people are in disagreement about how to spend the holidays, if there is an alienation campaign going on, it's going to get dicey. And, this time of year coming into the holidays, everybody's starting to think about it already. I've already gotten holiday plans for Thanksgiving and for Christmas and New Year's and all of that stuff going forward. I don't have any problems in terms of custody and visitation, but it's a stressful piece. What are we going to do with the family? How is this going to work? And we've got the added stress of custody and visitation going on here. So the stress levels are about to go through the ceiling.
Yeah.
And the other piece of this is this is a particularly opportune time for the other parent to start to stir up problems if that is what their intention is.
Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity for them to mess with things here.
Right. So to work with your attorneys, to work with those people to try to get stipulations in place. And if they're not willing to budge, this is also a time that it isn't a last minute move to get in front of a judge and start to get some of this stuff expedited. We've got plans. We've got, we want to go out of state. We want to go out of the country. I know that you recently had an incident where you weren't able to do something with your son because it got blocked, and it shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
But, is there a passport? Do you need the passport? How do you get that passport from the other parent so you don't have to ask that permission? Are old orders in order, or are the new orders supersede them? Where do we get to really understand what is in place right now? Because attorneys are really good at saying, well, the old order said this, and there's nothing in the new order that supersedes that other than the normalcy of how that would be superseded.
Yeah.
I'm just talking your world right now.
Yeah.
But if you'd have seen that coming, right?
Yeah.
You would have been able to engage in that. If that had been a more important movement, you would have been able to engage in that ahead of time and not had to deal with a no.
Right.
What we don't want to have to do is deal with the no here, right?
Yeah. I mean, none of us really like asking permission in the first place. We'd much rather give notice or say, here's what's going to happen. But if they've got a hold of the passport or some sort of controlling element, you end up back in asking permission kind of mode.
Right. So, this is a good time for everybody to revisit the past and remember the shenanigans that have played out before, right?
Yeah.
We often know already what's coming. And we forgot because it's behind us. We didn't take care of it last year. Now we got to take care of it. and we should have taken care of it in March.
Yeah.
Right? But it's September now. It's the
Right.
end of the year, and this is the time to start to get this in motion. And I'm guessing that, you know, people that are looking at the titles of these are going to look at these over the years as they go through these podcasts and pick and choose which ones they want to pull. But this, by the way, interestingly enough, is our 52nd week in a row of doing these podcasts. And it's a year, right? We made it.
Right. 52 weeks. Nice. That's awesome.
Kind of like an anger management class.
Right. Do they last a year?
Some of them do.
Do they really? Wow. I thought, wow, 12 steps or 52 weeks. Nice.
So, you know, this is the place for everybody to go back and just really revisit where we've had the problems and to start to clear those problems up, to make an appointment with themselves, to sit down with a piece of paper and go, okay, what do we need to go over, and what is the strategy to start to correct these things, you know, with the other parent if we can. You know, if that's something that we can go through our family wizard and look back and forth and go, okay, this is what happened before. What are we going to do to keep this from happening this year? And if they're not willing to work with you, then we know right now, today, 3 months ahead of time, that we've got time to get in front of this, and then to start making those movements to get out in front.
Got it. Especially if you're taking a child, if you're going to use some of your vacation time, right? Like, for instance, I have 2 weeks a year, right? I have to give notice, but not permission, but notice, got to give 30 days notice. So I can't be as spontaneous as I normally like to be, right? I have to kind of plan it ahead. So you want to do that. And then also, I think you mentioned kind of looking at last year, what didn't go the way I wanted to, or what shenanigans did the other parent pull, and how do we handle those differently this year?
Right. So it's a time to visit your parenting plan. You know, what is the time that I have with my children for these holidays? So for instance, if you've got the spring or the fall break, if you've got Thanksgiving break, so two things that you need to go through is, do I have to tell, or do I have to get permission to leave the state, the country, or whatever else? And do I have plans to do so? And if I have plans to do so, to make that statement now. Don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till the 30-day notice. Get it out there now.
Mm-hmm.
These are my plans. So you can hear what the kickback's going to be.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So taking into consideration that, making the statement in the communication with the other parent, this is my week. These are our intentions. I need to have the passport if we're going to Mexico or we're going to wherever we're going to go. And then if they say, no, I'm not okay with that, that you know right now that you get to go into an ex-party movement or a RFO with the judge and say, hey, I'm being held from doing this. Why is that so?
Yeah.
And all of the other, you know, components to this is just getting in the way.
Well, it is an interesting thing you're saying, because, like, if you live in a town that has a lot of traffic and you have to travel during that traffic time, you have to plan for that and leave extra time, right?
Right.
If you have a parent on the other side who's difficult or high conflict, and you're wanting to travel or do the holidays, you may have to leave extra time for these ex-party and for courts to get involved. You got to start earlier than most people.
Right. Right.
It's interesting.
Right. And, you know, this is a good time, you know, to set up mediations. If you're going to try a mediation approach to it, to have a mediator, to call them, to make sure that you're on their calendar, because their schedules are going to get busy here real soon.
Now, you did mediation for something else in my world, but is this the type of mediation you do also?
Right.
Okay, so you can do this. All right, that's cool.
These are the pieces of, you know, you don't agree with this, I don't agree with that. How do we find the middle ground?
Yeah.
But, you know, part of that is an interpretation. And sometimes people just need an interpretation of the plan.
Right.
To come into agreement with what that means and to move forward. And sometimes this is just the indicator that, okay, here's the next fight again, and I got to get ready for it.
And can a mediator possibly save money for both sides and say, okay, let's say you guys don't work this out with me and you do take it to court. Here's basically what's going to happen. You're like saying, I'm reading these documents and I've seen this a lot. Here's most likely what may happen to each of you.
Right. So from a mediator standpoint, we try to stay out of, this is what I think will happen in court. But the statement is more like, if you guys don't reach an agreement here, what's your next best option? And that's court. And then you don't know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's kind of the approach that most mediators take.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a statement of, you really want to go down that road? Because I'm not sure that this is how it's going to come out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
This is also a time, while you're in the moments of this, to start to look at what the long-term changes that you might want to make to the parenting plan, and to really address the things that haven't worked in the past. Not just about holidays or vacations or that type of stuff, but what are the other nuances? Because those are the things that get in the way on a weekly basis of exchanges or extracurricular activities, or why would we want to piecemeal this piece when we can just take the whole thing on and say, okay, all of this stuff isn't working, let's get it addressed now.
Yeah.
It may be a place where you get scheduled back in for another family court service appointment.
Right.
You got to go through the court path, that you've got that possibility as well.
Yeah. So it's a good opportunity to go in and take care of like whatever's hanging around, right?
Right. If you're going to go in, let's go in.
Yeah. And how much do you have to have prepared before you go in? I mean, I'm going through this kind of now. Do you have to have, if you're going to go in and request a new meeting, do you have to have all of your new income documentation, income and expenses updated, or just kind of go in and ask them what they need from you?
So I think there's two things that are taking place here. And the financial piece and the custody piece in most jurisdictions are really separate.
Yeah.
The only thing that ties them together is the percentages, as they calculate for the disomaster for the support calculation.
Yeah.
So if you're just going in for a modification of custody, that's in and of its own. If you're going in for a clarification, like if it's an ex parte emergency order, I'm taking this vacation, they're keeping me from doing that, you're just asking them to clarify or to make a decision on what that's going to be. Right?
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with the finances either. So the financial components are things that you're going to take care of separately. You don't have to have one to do the other. As a matter of fact, they can be mutually exclusive.
And we can use California as an example. If you're going in for changing your parenting plan, excuse me, and it's been a year, you can have a new appointment with FCS, Family Court Services, right?
Right.
If you're, excuse me, if you are doing changing child support, or you've got a different job or whatever, then you may be going in either with your attorney or representing yourself. I don't remember what they call that, where you get help on your own or whatever. Right.
That's to the facilitator's office if you're doing it by yourself. But you're also, when you're talking about financial things, you can also take that into the Department of Child Support Services, or DCSS, and have them take that on.
Right. Got it.
Cool. So the other piece that, everybody's got to really kind of take some time and step on the brakes and look at is, maybe this may not be the time to make changes just because it's convenient for you this year. So I need an extra day, but if I don't go fighting for this piece, this is going to work out a little bit better. I can, nudge around and I can make this work for me, and then look at it going forward and see what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So be strategic in it. But when you're being strategic in all of this, just really take some time to think long-term and big picture. Because I want something this year for a particular reason, how is that going to translate year over year? How is that going to come back and bite me in the fanny 2 years from now? And, what we're really leading for in all of these conversations, again, is how do we create continuity for the kids? How can we not have this be chaotic year over year? How can I get in the boundaries, the structure to make sure that next year when I come up to this, I know exactly what is going to happen and how it's going to take place, and I don't have to go back to court. I don't have to worry about this stuff. I've made it in a document that is crystal clear, and if somebody has to interpret it, I know how it's going to get interpreted.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, parenting plans are supposed to be crystal clear. That's kind of the whole idea, is to keep people from confusion, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. But, many people, when they're writing stipulations and they're not getting put through a court document, or even when they're being put through a court document, there's so many loopholes in this stuff that we know, because we are in high conflict, that we have to dot every I, cross every T, and look for every loophole to cover. So when we get to the end of this, that we know that we're going to have what we need to do, what we want to do. When I'm writing a parenting plan, when I'm preparing somebody for this, I'm asking them about who's got the passport and who's going to hold the passport, and how is that passport going to be transferred to the other parent when it's time, and how is it going to get transferred back when the time's over, and what's the reasonable time? Because here's the deal. Let's talk about passports right now, because it's in the field. So if I'm going to take a vacation, I know I'm going to take a vacation. I've got something in there that says I can ask for the passport 3 weeks in advance or a month in advance. And that I have an expectation that, because it's in that paperwork, that I will get that passport. And when they refuse to give me that passport, I can wave a piece of paper in front of a judge and say, this is what the agreement is. This is a court order. They need to give me the passport in real time.
Yeah.
Right. So it isn't a conversation of, well, we didn't discuss this. No, there's an order that says this. And then when I get back, I have 18 days or 24 days or a month to give that passport back to the other parent.
Right.
Because they're the holder of the passport.
Yeah. Somebody's the holder, and the other person has instructions on how they get it and when they get it and how long they have it and all that.
Right. And this seems like it's picky stuff, but it's essential that we have these little pieces in place. I'm going to, you said something about vacation time. This isn't vacation time. This is holiday time. And the holiday time takes precedent over everything. Right?
Yeah.
And that needs to be the express piece. I'm not asking permission for this. This is my time. It is my dedicated time. So let's say that, for the sake of this conversation, you've got the second half of the Christmas holiday, and you've got both of your children, and you've got plans to go to Guadalajara.
Yeah.
Right? And you need to give 30 days notice that you're going to go out of the country, but you don't have to give 30 days notice that that's your time.
Right.
But you have to get that passport from the other parent, and they're blocking you because they've decided that you're not safe to take them out of the country.
That's where you have to leave enough time to go to court and get ex parte or whatever, right?
Exactly. And you have to have the time that, they are saying, no, you can't, not the day before, the week before, 2 weeks before, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be in a scramble. This is stressful stuff. So let's start to lead this parade early. You guys that are listening to this know that there's going to be a problem, or that there's not. And if you know that there's not, you might want to rethink that one, because this stuff comes up. And we don't like to be controlled. We don't like to have somebody saying, no, you can't do it. But I want to know that you're going to tell me, no, you can't do it a month in advance, not a week in advance.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Or 3 months in advance, not a week in advance.
Yeah.
Judges don't like this stuff coming in. Their holidays are crazy enough. They don't need more of this stuff, because people are arguing over, you can't get on a plane, or, there's an extra day, or what this is. Oh, and that's the other piece that I want to talk about here.
Yeah.
Don't try to ask for more. Don't ask for that extra day. If the family is having an extra day of holidays a day after it's your time, don't try to press it over to that extra day. Just go, man, I'm going to miss it, and lean back, because you don't want to have that argument, because you know damn well that you are going to have the argument.
Yeah. Right.
And what is it worth? We're back. We keep coming back to disengage, right?
Yeah.
And one of the easiest ways for us to disengage is stay within the parameters of what our parenting plan is and not go outside of those parameters.
Yeah.
I had a client in yesterday that, we were having this very conversation, and it's like, yeah, I get it. And, there's the fight. And if you just come home the day that you're supposed to come home, or if you cut that a day off, it's not ideal for you. It's not what you want, but it eliminates a lot of the power that somebody holds over you to mess with what you want. You want that? No, I'm not going to give that to you. No, really, beg. Get down.
Yeah.
Beg.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to give it to you anyway. This is the psychopath game that happens, when we're dealing with some of these personality disorders, and it's just not worth what happens with them.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's pretty smart. I mean, the person likes to get at you and fight and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just stay within the parameters, don't ask for anything, right? Just go right along with whatever the court orders say. You don't give them that temptation, that open door to jump in there, right?
Right. And we don't want to have our travel plans get interrupted. We don't want to make plans and then have somebody say, no, you've got to have a back on this. And then you get into an argument over that. Don't assume that the other parent has the same idea you have about what the parenting plan says. Assume that they have a different idea, and find out what their idea is. And, there's a place here. Again, this is tactical. This is strategic, that you can bend your own idea to meet theirs to stay out of the conflict if it's reasonable.
Yeah.
There's that place of, no, I see it this way. No, okay, I can do that. Or I see it this way. No, I can't do that. But to have that flexibility within your own means, when you stop the fight, you take away their play toy.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the fun is taking away their play toy. Okay, I can do that, because they're expecting you to engage in that.
Right.
So look at where you can be flexible in those pieces, even if there is a disagreement in it. I'm going to go to an extreme. I want to take the kids to the kids to Mexico for the holidays, and they say, no, you can't go to Mexico. Okay, all right. Huh. Okay, I'm going to go to Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do something there. Where's the adjustment here? What's the important piece? Is the important piece time with your kids? We're going to get another shot at this. And none of us, again, back to this piece, none of us like to be controlled. None of us like to be told we can do this and we can't do that. But when we don't engage with that, suddenly we find that we have more freedom. We have more ability to stay out of the stress of the fight. And there's a ton of other things that we can do to make it easier for us and for the kids.
Yeah.
We're going to have our opportunity. The time's going to come, and they're not going to have that leverage. And it might not be today, it might not be this year, but it might be next year. Things might clear up here for you. You might be able to get down the road with an order that gives you more latitude. So pay attention to where you make the decisions to do what you want to do here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got it. Awesome. I mean, the holidays are awesome. I can't wait to experience them again this year. And it seems like starting earlier makes a lot more sense. There's going to be a lot more peace, kind of jumping on it or getting the plans formed ahead of time.
Right. So here's another piece that I think is an important piece to bring into that. So don't keep the other person from doing the travel that they want to do with the kids.
Yeah.
Don't play the tit for tat game with them. Be easy, even if they're not. give the room. One of the conversations I had with one of the attorneys that I work with frequently, he indicated, he said, I want my client to show up as reasonable. And I think that that's incredibly important. But along with reasonable, we also have to have boundaries, and we have to also be able to say no within being reasonable. So this isn't a place where I'm asking you guys to just kind of bend over backwards and do whatever that they want, but to be within the levels of flexibility that say, okay, yeah, no, I'm okay with that. Even though you're not doing that, I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
And not saying that expressly, but having it be implicit in what you're doing, because people are going to see this over time, right? And if somebody's trying to paint you in a vein that is less than kind, and you show up less than kind, you're playing into it. If they're trying to paint you in a vein that is less than kind, and you're showing up as reasonable, it runs against what they're trying to say. It becomes incredibly visible and incongruent. And those are the places that we really start to get some traction in this arena.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about that a lot. It's hard to do, but like when the other person is saying, you're like this, you're like this, you're like this, and you end up being like that, it seems like the people involved go, oh, they're right.
Yeah. So again, the holidays are supposed to be fun, and the holidays are supposed to be connecting. And if we're fighting battles during the holidays, that's not fun and it's not connecting. But doing this now, it's like, just to sum this up in some part, if you make a statement that I want to do something with the kids for this period of time, and the other parent says, well, there's something else that's coming up, and I was really hoping that you would be able to shift this with me, and you could sit there and go, okay, I can flip-flop mine because I'm far enough ahead of it that I can make that adjustment. It takes their no away.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
When I'm working with my clients, what I'm always looking for in the strategic piece is to take away the other party's no. If they want something, give it to them. Give it to them. Give it to them. And if they're still saying no, now we can show where the problem's at, right? And if we're far enough out and ahead of this, we can do that.
Right.
But it takes planning, lots and lots of planning.
Right.
So you got September, actually the end of September. So October, November, we got 6-8 weeks to get there. Guys, get the game. Get on this one. Be proactive and enjoy your holidays.
Nice. It's great advice. I mean, we're typically Americans seem to be kind of procrastinators for a lot of things. Like, oh my gosh, the holidays are upon us. That's why the malls get so busy like the day or two before Christmas, right? People postpone the Christmas shopping that they want to do. But with particularly in these types of relationships, and if you have an ex who's been high conflict in the past, Brooke, your advice today is really just get way in front of this, so you take their no away. So when they say no to your first version of it, you just switch to a second version, then to a third version. And if they're saying no to everything and blocking you, we still have time to go and have a judge stop them, make them allow it or whatever, right?
Right.
All right, awesome. Well, everybody, we are looking forward to hopefully the best holidays you've ever had in your families. And thank you, Brooke, for your wisdom and for coming up with this today's content. It's super helpful. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Nope, we're done for the week, and I will see you. We'll start the next year of running with these programs next week.
Hey, going on to year number 2 with the High Conflict Co-Parenting Podcast with Brooke Olson and Charlie Jewett. We will see you guys for the next year of these next week. Bye-bye. Bye. Brooke, people don't have to wait until Friday mornings to get more content. If this is something that's helpful for them, right? This isn't the first time you've broadcast anything or recorded anything or put anything out there in the world. What are the other ways people can get the help more aggressively or speed up their recovery process? What materials are available for people right now?
Well, I've written a book called The Black Hole of High Conflict, and it's available on Amazon and Kindle.
Great.
And everything that we're talking about is really compressed and put into there. So this is a really good starter place to get in and get your mind working and to see what these concepts are about and how to start to apply them. The other place that I think that is valuable is to go to our website and look at some of the blog articles that I've written. Those are available there as well. If they go into some of these other arenas, and that's at www.highconflict.net. So the book, the website are also really good places to get the material. And also we have classes. We have high conflict diversion program classes that you can get into and get some one-on-one help with this as well.
And you know me, I'm aggressive. Whatever I want to become good at or learn, I find someone who's good at it and pay them and hire them and shorten my learning curve. What if somebody just wants your help? Somebody says, Brook has this information. He's good at something I'm not good at yet, and I want to work with him. Do you have any type of coaching or consultations or anything like that?
Absolutely, I do. I do one-on-one coaching for custody cases. I help people get ready for family court services. If you've got that in your community, I work with attorneys and clients to help them with managing and strategically setting them up to have more successful cases as well.
And how do they reach out? You want them to just go to the website or email or phone, or what's the best way for them to reach out, raise their hand, and say, I need some help?
They can email me. My direct email is brook@highconflict.net. That's BROOK at highconflict, HIGH, conflict.net.
Perfect. That's everything everybody would need to get some help, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Brook.